He was a billionaire CEO who could fix anything, except his daughter's broken heart. So, one day, he asked a stranger to pretend to be his wife. What began as a desperate lie became something heartbreakingly real. The scent of vanilla and sugar filled the air as Daniel Hayes stood inside the city's most elegant bakery, his designer suit wrinkled from a long day of meetings. Next to him, his 4-year-old daughter Lily pressed her small hands against the glass display, eyes wide at the rows of pastel cupcakes. "Daddy, can we get the pink ones?" she asked, voice full of excitement. Daniel smiled, the kind of tired smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "Of course we can, sweetheart," he said softly. But the ache in his chest deepened. Tomorrow was Lily's 5th birthday, and she had asked the same question every night for weeks. "Will Mommy be there?" Daniel's throat tightened. Her mother, Rebecca, had left 8 months ago. She'd said she couldn't handle being the wife of a man who was always on a plane, who brought work home like a shadow that never left. The spotlight, the pressure. "It's not the life I wanted," she had said, before walking out of their penthouse and out of their lives. Lily had cried for her every night since. Daniel had done everything: therapy, playdates, new routines. But children sense absence like a wound. Now, on the eve of her birthday, she still clung to one impossible hope. The bakery clerk approached with a friendly smile. "Can I help you find something?" Before Daniel could answer, a woman stepped out from behind the counter. She had kind brown eyes, soft waves of blonde hair tied loosely, and flour dusting her cream-colored apron. "I couldn't help overhearing," she said gently, kneeling so she could meet Lily's gaze. "The pink cupcakes are my favorite too." Lily's face lit up instantly. "Really?" The woman nodded. "Absolutely. You have excellent taste." Daniel felt something stir in his chest. His daughter rarely smiled at strangers anymore. "What's your name, sweetheart?" the woman asked. "Lily," the little girl said proudly. "I'm turning 5 tomorrow." "5? That's a big deal," the woman said warmly. "I'm Grace. Happy early birthday, Lily." Daniel cleared his throat. "We'll take 2 dozen pink cupcakes, please." Grace nodded and began to box them carefully. Lily tugged lightly on her apron. "Are you a mommy?" The question froze everyone for a second. Grace hesitated, then smiled softly. "Not yet, sweetheart." As Grace walked to the back to finish the order, Daniel watched her. There was something calm and grounded about her, the opposite of everything his life had become. When she returned, Daniel paid for the cupcakes and glanced toward Lily, who was now kneeling by the bakery's small fish tank, chatting happily to the goldfish. "Could I speak with you for a moment?" Daniel asked quietly. Grace looked wary but nodded. "This is going to sound insane," he began, lowering his voice. "My daughter is heartbroken that her mother won't be at her birthday tomorrow. She's surrounded by classmates who still have both parents. He paused, struggling for words. "I want her to have one happy memory. Just one." Grace's expression softened. "I'm sorry. That's heartbreaking." "She cries for her mom at night," Daniel continued, voice cracking. "I've tried everything, but tomorrow she'll look around that room and realize she's the only one without a mother there. I can't let her feel that again." Grace's eyes searched his face. "What are you asking me to do?" Daniel hesitated, shame flickering across his features. "I want you to pretend to be my wife. Just for the day. For her birthday." Grace blinked, stunned. "You're asking me to lie to your daughter?" "I'm asking you to give her a day of peace," he said quietly. "I'll pay you whatever you need. You'll have your own guest room. I just want her to feel whole, even if it's temporary." Grace shook her head slowly. This is crazy. I know, Daniel said. But please, look at her. They both turned. Lily was giggling at the fish tank, pressing her nose to the glass, utterly innocent. She deserves one day where she's not waiting for someone who's never coming back, Daniel whispered. Grace was silent for a long moment. One day? She finally asked. A week at most, Daniel said. Through her birthday and a few dinners after. Just until she settles again. Grace sighed. I'm a teacher. I know what that kind of loss does to children. So you understand, Daniel said. Please. She studied him, and what she saw in his face must have convinced her he wasn't asking out of vanity, but out of pure desperation. Fine, Grace said quietly. 1 week, but there are rules. I sleep in the guest house. No physical contact unless it's for show in front of your daughter. And you'll have to plan how to tell her after. Daniel exhaled with relief. Agreed. They exchanged numbers and arranged the details. When Daniel and Lily left, the little girl turned and waved. Bye, Grace. Grace smiled back, a warmth spreading in her chest she didn't expect. The next morning, when the doorbell rang, Lily sprinted to answer. Grace stood there in a yellow sundress, holding a small, wrapped box. Happy birthday, Lily, she said with a smile. Lily threw her arms around Grace's legs. Daniel stood frozen in the doorway, watching his daughter's pure joy. Something he hadn't seen in nearly a year. The party was magical. Grace moved through the crowd effortlessly, helping serve cake, laughing with the kids, and listening to every word Lily said as if nothing else existed. Other parents assumed she was Daniel's new partner. Some even whispered, she's perfect for them. And for the first time in months, Daniel didn't correct anyone. Over the next few days, the house began to feel different. Warmer, livelier. Grace didn't act like she was pretending. She genuinely cared. She helped Lily with puzzles, sang silly songs at breakfast, told bedtime stories with voices that made Lily giggle until she couldn't breathe. At night, after Lily fell asleep, Daniel and Grace would sit in the kitchen, talking quietly over tea. He told her about the loneliness that came with success, how he'd built an empire but lost his family. She told him about leaving a long relationship where she was always made to feel invisible. They didn't plan it, but something between them began to heal. On the 5th evening, as Lily played with her dolls in the garden, Grace turned to Daniel. You know this has to end soon, she said gently. I know, he replied, looking at his daughter. I just don't know how to tell her. Tell her the truth, Grace said softly. That I'm your friend. That I came to make her birthday special. Children deserve honesty. Daniel nodded slowly, then said before he could stop himself, What if I asked you to stay? Grace's eyes widened. Daniel, I mean it, he said. Not as a job, not as a role. Stay as yourself. Lily adores you. And he hesitated, voice thick. I haven't felt this alive in years. Grace looked down, trying to steady her voice. We barely know each other. Then let's fix that, Daniel said softly. Start over. Properly. No pretending. Dinner tomorrow? A long silence stretched between them, broken only by Lily's laughter in the distance. Then Grace smiled. I'd like that. That night, they sat Lily down together. Grace told her gently that she had been Daddy's friend who came to help make her birthday special. Lily listened quietly, her eyes too wise for her age. So, you're not really my mommy? She asked. Grace shook her head softly. No, sweetheart, but I care about you very much. Lily looked between them. Could you maybe be my real mommy one day? Grace smiled through tears. Maybe someday, if it's what we all want. Lily nodded seriously, then climbed into both their arms. Okay, I love you both anyway. 6 months later, the spring air was warm and full of laughter. Daniel stood under a garden arch covered in white roses, his daughter holding a basket of petals. Grace walked toward him in a simple dress, her eyes glowing with quiet joy. They said their vows in front of a handful of close friends, and one delighted little girl who threw petals in the air, shouting, "Now I have a real family!" It wasn't a fairy tale built on lies. It was something better. A love born from honesty, patience, and second chances. Because sometimes the greatest gifts don't come from grand gestures or perfect plans. They come from the courage to ask for help, and the kindness of a stranger brave enough to say yes,